Hey, tooth Farmall 51 here. All right, we're still working on the, as I get time, working on some wiring issues. Not really issues, but just kind of cleaning up some of the cobbled up stuff here. Just kind of, there's a lot of extra. You can see where some things were added in. Eventually I may end up just getting a wiring harness for it, but for now we're going to just repair it and change out some stuff and just kind of make sure things are not going to catch on fire. But I hadn't really said much about it, but I've had sort of like a starting issue with the 300 here. It'll turn over and it just wasn't hitting. I wasn't getting really gas up from the carburetor, getting gas to the carburetor, but wasn't really getting it up into the cylinders. And I mean, you stick your hand on the carburetor there and it'll appear just suck your hand about through the carburetor. But I have checked the compression and it was a little on the low side, but not terrible. I think a lot of this tractor, knowing the history and talking to the gentleman I bought this tractor from, I kind of had in the back of my mind, I said, it's probably going to leak like a sieve when, I really get to running it. So what I'm pretty much, the tractor doesn't smoke at all. There's no blow by. It'll darn near suck your hand through the carburetor. Compression wise, I don't really believe it's, needs a complete ring job or something like that. But what I honestly think, it just needs running. It needs the pure snot run out of it. That's the problem with these tractors, and I see a lot of it just by talking to different people. A lot of these old guys, just talking with them, and a lot of these tractors, they were built to work. They were built to crank up every day and just go out in the field and do whatever, chore work, tillage, you name it. They were supposed to be run, and we get these tractors and we don't do that much with them. I do know this tractor here, the gentleman had it, his father passed away in 1986 or so, and the gentleman I bought it from, he was in his mid-80s. He told me basically the tractor set under the shelter, he would crank it up, maybe drive it around the house. The tractor did nothing in the last 20 years that I know of. And just by looking at it, he wiped some stuff down and kind of painted it, so it's not got that best of a paint job, but it's a good candidate for a restoration later on, and that's what we're going to do. I think, when it gets to going pretty good, we might do that later on. So, but anyway, but yeah, so I got my carburetor issues, I think, fixed. I got the valves adjusted, got the governor set like I want it, got the carburetor set, got the valves set, timed. I'm currently draining the hydraulics on this tractor and to clean out. It was a little nasty, if you can tell. Not terrible, not completely milk, but it's a mocha, I would say. Plugs are gapped right, but I went ahead, and he had changed a lot of this stuff, like 2 or 3 years ago, but I went ahead and put a brand new set of points, condenser and all that, and a new internal resistor coil in there. So, and that seemed to have taken care of a lot of the problem, but the thing this tractor needs the most is like I said before, it needs the pure snot run out of it. I've got some trees I got to cut down, and I figured I could drag some trees with it, back to the woods back there. But it really needs a disc hook to it, and it just, like I say, just run. But I haven't done much with this tractor. I've been getting a few little electrical things fixed on it. A few little odds and ends that he hadn't really taken care of. One of the biggest things I've been working on the last week, off and on, is the front tires. And if you've seen some of the pictures, and I'll put a picture in there. The front bolster, if you really look at the front bolster, and I don't know if you can tell on here. Oh, well, one thing right here. The little tab right here, it's got holes in it, and you could hook something to it to move trailers with, different things like that. And this was back here, and I really didn't notice it, but a good friend of mine up in Illinois, he kind of pointed it out to me, and I got to looking at it, and I was like, darn, I didn't realize it until I got to looking at it. But you could tell the tires set a little bit further out to me. Now I'm guessing, I've heard, you know, people would turn those around and it would make the tractor drive. I don't know if what it was exactly for, but it seemed like somebody said it would make it drive a little better if you were, depending on what you were doing with it. But so undid that, turned it back around, and one tire was a 616, and the other tire was a 550, or yeah, 550 16. I'm like, well, we can't have that. Both of them were kind of bad. They still had tread on them, but they were, the sidewalls were, one of them I believe was probably the original tire on the tractor. And I'm like, so ended up replaced both tires. And in the meantime, replacing both tires, one of the rims had some bad rot around the valve stem. And the more I poked around the valve stem hole there, the wider that rot and rust was. So and it was right in that arch. I probably could have fixed it. It took a while to do, but I decided to. I'm like, look, I'll just find another rim. So one of my good friends of mine, Mr. Ray, had a rim for me. So I bought that rim from him, and I'm thinking, you know, well, here I am, you know, with both these tires off. So, you know, it's like the ADD thing where one thing leads to another, and before I know it, I'll have the whole front of the tractor rebuilt. So what I did was, went ahead, you know, you had to clean up the inside of the rim, because if you don't, you'll have burrs or rust or something like that in there, and you don't want that poking your $20 tube. So what I did was I cleaned all those up, and I usually run a little bit of duct tape on the center and maybe on the edge if it's kind of rough. And sometimes, you know, if they sit a while, they get moisture in there and they'll have pit rust. So what I do is I usually just tape those, and just peace of mind to know that, you know, that if that slips in there, it won't tear. So I put those. And I'm like, well, I've cleaned the inside of it. I might as well clean the outside. So I went ahead and just cleaned those. And luckily I had a can of the silver from ACOC Tractor in Goldsboro, and which I try to get a lot of. I need to go down there and get some oil from him. But Brad, if you got any, I'll be down there soon. But so I had some paint. Went ahead and just painted the rims, and then I had those. And I remember, you know, I've got. I'm going to be plowing with it here at our chapter plow day coming up here March the 22nd. And I had some of the older style wheel weights. So I put those on there, and I believe they're 75, 50 pounds a piece. I can't remember what they were now, but they're pretty heavy. If anything, they're 50 pounds. But anyway, I bolted those on there. Well, the nuts I got were not, I think they were old galvanized bolts from Agri Supply. So I got those put on there anyway. That's on there. That's 100%. The front end is done. Even tighten the bearings up, packed a little grease in them, because I'm sure they haven't been done. Then Lord knows when. Well, like I say, we've just been doing little by little here. And when I picked the front end up, I had the jack up under it. I had my chain hoist on it, and I had some blocks of wood, so that would not fall. But anyway, I'm happy that's done. And the steering is pretty tight on that tractor. You know, obviously it wasn't. He said they bought it when it was a couple years old, about 5 or 6 years old, and they cut hay. He was a teenager, and this guy's 85 years old. Or he was pretty young, I think, when they bought it. So he's known the tractor his whole life, and like I say, the engine runs good. It doesn't knock, none of that stuff. But I think what my biggest problem is, by talking to several people, and I've adjusted the distributor, you know, the old, the Yoda sitting there, you know, doing it by ear type thing. I've adjusted that to where that it's purring like a kitten. So I'm happy about that. I think my biggest problem is either stuck rings, your crankcase pressure tube or whatever you call it there. It comes out right there. And when I was driving it down the road, and we went 30 minutes up the road with it and back, it was not blowing out. So I know the tractor doesn't have any major, if any, blow by at all. So they've got a bracket, and I did that on the 300 utility, a bracket that mounts here, and you can put one of the little mini alternators. And the thing is, this tractor still has a 6-volt battery. And the reason I'm leaving it 6-volt, and I know I'm stupid for doing it, and I really don't like it. You know, everybody has their preferences. 6-volt was fine, but things start a lot better under 12-volt. And I'm a stickler for originality. I like stuff to be like it was in 1955. That's one thing I've changed a lot on this, or fixing a lot of stuff back on this tractor, which this tractor was taken care of very well. But I like to keep stuff original. I don't like to modify things too much. But 6-volt system in this tractor, which is what it come with from the factory, is nice and all, but it's nothing like 12 volts turning that engine over. So, and the battery is a late 2023 battery, so it still has some life left in it, and it does turn the engine over pretty well, since we did put the new cable in there off an excavator, and it's a 0 gauge cable. So you have to have, on the 6-volt systems, they take the battery cable. So 12 volt, you can take the smaller cable. So I've redone the cables on it, and it does turn over a lot better than it did. That being said, I'm going to leave it 6-volt, because really the only thing technically you have to change is, you do have to change your lights. You can't get away from that, which that's one thing I've refrained from buying any lights, because I want to wait and put some 12 volts on it. But you have to change your voltage regulator for sure. Your generator, I am going to put the little mini alternator like we have on the C over there, the little 1-wire mini alternator, just for the, you know, from not having to deal with that generator. But I'm going to change that out, because that's hidden behind the hood. You don't see that, but you do have to change the voltage regulator out. The starter can remain 6-volt as long as you don't have to crank on it for very long, and it will last a good while. I've got a Cub that I've started for the last 20 years that way with it's got a 12-volt battery in it, voltage regulator and all that, but it's got a 6-volt starter in it, and it started fine for many years. So yeah, I was gonna say wheel weights look pretty good. I've got them dished in a little bit. I forgot to talk about that. I think it looks pretty good. So, and I wanted to set them like that. I could have put them on the inside, but these are really meant for the Super C over there that's waiting restoration. So I'm gonna leave them like that, and I'll probably take them off, but it does drive fine with them on it. I've got my trusty book here. I was going over some hydraulics, working on my hydraulics on the tractor here. But anyway, that's an update on the 1955 Farmall 300. I know I haven't done but one video on it since I've got the thing, but it's been more or less in here getting stuff done to it. I'm gonna make sure it's right. I'm trying to get it, you know, running good for plow day. So, and I'm still having issues with the tires. These are both brand new tires. They still got the hair on them, and got 2 different tires put on it. It doesn't bother me, but that not matching thing, it does aggravate me a little bit. And if you're a true tractor enthusiast or purist, I would say Farmall purist, then that does bother me a little bit. And on these tires here, I believe this is a Titan. Yes, this is a Titan 13.6 38, and the other is a I don't know what it is, BKT. I really don't care what brand goes on it. The Titan's a pretty good tire, but I would swap them out. So anyway, that's where we are on the 1955 Farmall 300. I know I've gone on way too long in this video, but I may cut out some stuff. But anyway, I'm at the point of just having to button up a lot of stuff, and we'll be ready to go. And I got my plow pretty much ready. I want to hook it up, and I want to get out and test it and set it like I want to, get it adjusted, get my rear end adjusted back here. So anyway, Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy.